Shalakaya Chakshurumanitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Namaste Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we ask Smita to begin the reading. So the first paragraph of Smita, if you mind.
Yes, Maharaj. The culmination of all kinds of yoga practices lies in Bhakti Yoga. All other yogas are but means to come to the point of Bhakti in Bhakti Yoga. Yoga actually means Bhakti Yoga. All other yogas are progressions toward the destination of Bhakti Yoga. From the beginning of Karma Yoga to the end of Bhakti Yoga is a long way to self-realization. Karma Yoga without fruitive results is the beginning of this path. When Karma Yoga increases in knowledge and renunciation, the stage is called Jnana Yoga. When Jnana Yoga increases in meditation on the Super Soul by different physical processes and the mind is on him, it is called Ashtanga Yoga. And when one surpasses the Ashtanga Yoga and comes to the point of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, it is called Bhakti Yoga, the culmination. Factually, Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate goal, but to analyze Bhakti Yoga minutely, one has to understand these other yogas. The yogi who is progressive and is therefore on the true path of eternal good fortune. One who sticks to a particular point and does not make further progress is called by that particular name: Karma Yogi, Jnana Yogi, or Dhyana Yogi, Raja Yogi, Yogi, Hatha Yogi, etc. If one is fortunate enough to come to the point of Bhakti Yoga, it is to be understood that he has surpassed all other yogas. Therefore, to become Krishna conscious is the highest stage of yoga, just as when we speak of Himalayan, we refer to the world's highest mountains, of which the highest peak, Mount Everest, is considered to be the culmination.
Any reflections from anyone? Rajabhumi? You have your hand up, Rajabhumi. Maybe you don't.
No, but I was thinking about all other yogas are progressions towards the destination of Bhakti Yoga. So I kind of digesting that.
How's
all
the
paths
digestion
lead to
going?
that one path.
Well, there are different aspects of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They all Karma Yoga, with connecting our actions to Krishna. No matter what stage one is in, they're actually connected. Even like Krishna says later in the Gita, earlier, he says that even those who worship the demigods do so, but imperfectly. And so there's certain areas they don't go past, and so but they're all leading up to steps. Even Krishna says in the 4th chapter, all people follow my path in all regards. Everyone is surrendered to a certain thing, and as they surrender, the Krishna rewards accordingly. So everyone has a particular relationship with Krishna, and slowly but surely, it's described here when one it takes to any type of yoga, they're actually considered to be fortunate because they're on the path of constant progression. Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Raja Yoga, Hatha Yoga. One is fortunate enough to come to the point of bhakti, to be understood that he surpassed all the other yogas. Anyone else with some takeaways from this paragraph? Last week we had a lot, not last week, the week before, we had a lot of input from everyone. Me and Nanteshwar were quite happy with the takeaways last week, or 2 weeks ago. I said 2 weeks ago. I think someone's about ready to speak something that they got from this. Maybe not. Hi, everyone. Hi, Krishna and Annette.
Hi, Krishna, Maharaj.
So we're on this last verse of the 6th chapter, and we just did the 4th paragraph. I guess it would be 1, 2. Yeah, it would have been the 4th paragraph. Anything? Or if not, we can just read the next paragraph. You can get a volunteer to read. Where it starts out with, "It is by great fortune." Somebody want to volunteer? Parampara, you have your hand up. Oh, your speakers now. Are you?
Sure, sorry. I can read, Marge, if you'd like me to.
Oh, okay, okay.
It is by great fortune that one comes to Krishna consciousness on the path of Bhakti Yoga to become well situated according to the Vedic direction. The ideal yogi concentrates his attention on Krishna, who is called Shyamasundara, who is as beautifully colored as a cloud, whose lotus-like face is as effulgent as the sun, whose dress is brilliant with jewels, and whose body is flower garlanded, illuminating all sides in his gorgeous luster, which is called the Brahma Jyotir. He incarnates in different forms such as Rama, Nrsimha, Varaha, and Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he descends like a human being as the son of Mother Yashoda, and he is known as Krishna, Govinda, and Vasudeva. He is the perfect child, husband, friend, and master, and he is full with all opulences and transcendental qualities. If one remains fully conscious of these features of the Lord, he is called the highest yogi.
Anything from anyone? Oh, Shri Rupa Manjari, you have your hand up.
No, Maharaj, I was just leaning it against my face, but it's okay. I can share
No,
some.
no, you're the image, the hand image, like a.
Oh, I don't know how that got there. But
I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to take it. Anyway, anything you find for this?
Yeah, it made me think of there are the devotees that do book distribution. They post when they've distributed books to somebody, and there was a fellow that they distributed books to, and his shirt said something to the effect of, "I'll believe in God when you show me a God that can dance." And it made me think of this paragraph here, and how, Krishna just is everything. So it just made me laugh.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, huh? Then there's in Achyutananda's book, Blazing Sadhus, classic name, typical for Achyutananda. And he said that they said, "Don't trust a Swami who can't dance." And then there was another one that said, oh, I have to go in the book later on and find it, because it was like, don't trust a Swami who can't dance, and don't trust a Swami who can't. He added on something from higher. Remember what it is? Ananteshwar, that Blazing Sadhu's book. Anyway, I have it on my desk. I'll have to read the whole book to find that one thing now, because my mind will be okay. Anyone that found something in this paragraph? Gayatri, you have your hand
Well,
up or no?
Maharaj, I was just thinking how everyone, all human beings has some sort of talent. They all have certain qualities, like football players, the best, coach, or the best basketball player, etc. And they all, in a way, once they achieve that perfection, like being the best quarterback, they develop some sort of God complex sometimes, especially because of the fans and the publicity. And that came to my mind when I saw that Krishna, he's the perfect child, husband, friend, and master, and he's full with all opulences and transcendental qualities. Only Krishna has everything. Even some achieve only one thing. Krishna has everything, and no one can be completely perfect in everything. So it's just kind of, if you want to know who God is, you had to know that he's perfect in everything. So that's kind of came to me, especially right now that they idolize and the March Madness sports people.
God, I even forgot that was happening. I forgot it was March. They say that in the Gita, it's described that Krishna is the ability in man, or the ability, our ability, like, it's gender neutral, but that ability to do things comes from Krishna. And so that's Krishna's opulence. I remember I was in Detroit one time. This is many, like 30 years ago or something. And there was these two little kids riding their bikes. I told the story once or twice before. The little kids riding their bike, they're like 4 and 5 years old. And, they're trying to do, of course, little boys, they got to be macho. And they say, can you do this with your bike? Yeah, I can do that. Can you do this? Yeah, I can do that. Can you do this? No, I can't do that, but Krishna can. When they were like 4 or 5 years old, they knew that, that Krishna had the power to do something way beyond the destination of what they could do. So, yeah, very good takeaway. From Bra, you had your hand up?
Well, March, I was just thinking about how towards the end, Srila Prabhupada just kind of summarizes almost the chapter and so many of the verses in some way in the purports, but there's so many avenues and ways that he points out to here for meditating on or thinking about Krishna, and not just his form, his pastimes, in so many ways there's that you can think of Krishna, and that's perfection. In each one of those could lead you to bhakti yoga, so that just I just wanted to kind of go back and read it again because there's almost a suggestion in every word, it seemed like.
Yeah. Just like Prabhupada explains that there are 9 processes, Shravanam, Kirtanam, in the seventh canto of the Bhagavatam, hearing, chanting, remembering, Asmaranam, serving, all these different, so there's 9 different processes, and Prabhupada says you can engage in all, or 4 or 5, or even if you just engage in one, you can actually achieve the perfection just by prayer, or just by hearing, just like Parikshit Maharaj heard and Sukadeva Goswami spoke, and they both received perfection for their, would you say, different actions that they, or one was hearing and one was chanting, and they're the ones that are modeled those things, those 2 aspects. Anyone else? Was there anything from this paragraph? Well, we're going fast tonight. I told Prabhupada, maybe not Prabhupada, I told Ananteshwar, maybe we'll even finish the 6th chapter today. And I looked at how much we had left, and I said, oh, maybe not. But it looks like we're going a little faster this week. Anyone else with something? Smita, you usually have something to bring in, but I don't want to. No, you're a little shy, so I have to call on you once in a while.
No, Raj, I had a few points, but most of the other devotees said them. But I was just from this paragraph, I was just thinking Krishna is so amazing, how Prabhupada describes Krishna and how he can incarnate in so many different forms. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he can still come as a son, as a friend, and in so many different forms. And I just think that's so nice. And I also like how it says that he's the perfect child, husband, friend, and master. And it's sometimes we seek relations outside and with other people, and it bothers us when we don't find that. But sometimes we just have to seek within and realize, Krishna is the perfect friend. He's the perfect master. We can surrender to him and he's the perfect master. We can be friends with him and he's the perfect friend. We don't have to, tried to look somewhere else and he's right there.
That's kind of interesting thought. You don't have to. I mean, people are gregarious. They like to hang out with each other. But in the material world, we always find a little flaw, don't we? We always find a little something that's a little off. It doesn't quite match. Yeah. Chris is a perfect friend, you know. And I remember one time there's a letter that one lady was having difficulty with her husband. And Prabhupada said, just Krishna can be your husband. Krishna can be your husband. You won't find, of course, even Krishna upsets the, who was it? It was Rukmini or Satyabhama that Krishna said, why did you take me as a husband? There's so many other more qualified people. You should have just, I'm just a cow. I'm just some little village boy and this and that. And she was like, what's Rukmini, right? Was it Rukmini or Satyabhama? Lanteshwar? Rukmini, right? Yeah, Rukmini starting to like, oh my God, why is he telling me? Heart's palpitating and getting all worried that she hadn't satisfied Krishna or something like that. So Krishna is very, very, very unique in that way. Very unique that he knows to converse. Very, very expert at conversing. Actually, it's just great that Krishna can talk to the plants. He can talk to the animals. He can talk to the birds. He can talk to all living entities. He knows. I mean, he created them, so he knows the language, which is kind of cool. If you really think about it. Anyone else for something? Hare Krishna, Nitya Kishore, nice to see you.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you.
We're on verse 47 of the 6th chapter. We're getting down to the last couple of paragraphs. Actually, it'll probably be the last paragraph.
Maharaj, can I ask a question, please? Maharaj, you know, the paragraph starts with, it is a great fortune, you know, to come to Bhakti Yoga. And I completely understand the message there, but I also realize that, you know, there's the knowledge and the knowing is one aspect, and then the practice is very different. And I just, how do you come to terms with it? There's no, for me, there's no perfection. I don't think there ever will be. It's such a, like an advanced stage as that's described in the verse, but how do you come to terms with being okay with where you are and just kind of trying to keep making progress, I guess? Because
yeah, just like the other day, I sent the WhatsApp and I said the neophytes are just learning how to chant Hare Krishna. They're just practicing, just learning. I thought, you know, in the second stage, you actually have a little bit of attraction. You actually want to go out and do it. Right? Intermediate. It was describing the intermediate stage of chanting, which leads to the pure stage of chanting. And it seems like after years, it's not like, I chant my rounds every day. I can't imagine what it'd be like. I mean, I don't want to know what it'd be like not to chant japa. I don't know. Just, woe be. I don't want the wrath of God on my shoulders, but it's like, it's, we should never feel, let me just rephrase that. It's good to understand one's position and that one has to go forward. We are always moving forward. And the fact that we're not in the space that we want to be, which can create a little humility. In other words, like, I've been doing this for so long, you know, all of a sudden I'm not the big guy I thought I was, or the macho, this guy and that guy. And I actually come to terms with my own abilities or my own individual thing. Of course, I have mentioned before, I like to bring this into point here now too, is that we may not be where we want to be, but if we look, we're a lot better than what we used to be. We always got to keep that in mind, you know, that where I used to, anyway, where we used to be is like, you know, another planetary system. It's another universe. And where we've come to now, but you know, the great fortune is a great fortune that one comes to Krishna consciousness on the path of Bhakti Yoga. And the second part of the sentence is informative, to become well situated according to the Vedic direction. In other words, like in the beginning, we practice sadhana bhakti. In other words, we follow rules and regulations according to the Vedic literature, according to Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, to the directions of Srila Prabhupada, the Parampara, and we follow those directions. In other words, it's just like Prabhupada gives the example. I've given this example to you before. I'm getting a crap in my leg though. And so as you see me fall off the chair all of a sudden, you know, it's a problem. But Prabhupada give the example that if there's an apprentice and there's a master mechanic, and there's an apprentice mechanic, and the master mechanic says you take this screw and you move it 3 times, and the apprentice moves it 3 times, he's actually acting as a master, as if they were masterful in that art. Although they don't know the art, they're acting through them. And so when we take direction from Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, we take this direction according to Vedic direction. Vedic direction means Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. Means these 3 checks and balances. And so as we do that, we're actually acting as we're meant to act. And by doing that, they become, I don't want to call it habit forming, but they do have a cleansing effect. And so slowly, I've quoted that verse a million times. I think it's 25. Shana, gradually, step by step, on the point of performing, you know, it's actually meant to control the mind. And so this process is there like that. And so how do we deal with it? The question was how to deal with it. I guess we have to just own it. You know what I mean? If we become habituated to something, just like I mentioned before, they have AA, NA, sorry Krishna, we have SGA, Sense Gratifiers Anonymous. And, you know, we're taking the first step, which is admitting that, you know, we have deviated from our original constitutional position in relationship to Krishna. And in, I think it was yesterday's message or recently, I was explaining that through the cultivation of Krishna consciousness. So cultivation means you're planting the devotional activities in our heart, and we're at the same time removing the anarthas or unwanted things. We have to take into consideration what we're doing throughout the day, and make sure, probably with the point that was coming up in one of my readings today, was that we have to come to the point of knowing that the activity that we're doing is somehow or other connected to Krishna, be it our occupation. That occupation, although it may not, our occupation not be Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna all day long. Actually, Prabhupada was describing that the householders, they have to do their maintenance for their family, and so they have to incorporate Krishna within that duty. Whereas the sannyasis, their duty is just to chant Hare Krishna all day. I thought, okay, I've tried that before. It's not easy. At one point, I just had to chant Hare Krishna all the time. That's the challenge, you know. You know, after 8 hours, you just think, oh my gosh, how many more? And not, you know, it's not like how many more, but it's just like your voice is worn out, and so those things are there just to try to connect everything to Krishna. And then we remain, we pray for, you know, Krishna Kripa, the mercy of Krishna. Krishna will certainly benefit us. And you know the story, 75%, I'll get you in, I have the key for the back door. Prabhupada said, you know, the boys were complaining, Prabhupada, I don't know if we can make this like this. Prabhupada said, 95. We finally went down to 75. I said, okay, 75%, I have a key for the back door, I'll let you in the back.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah. That's why Prabhupada in one of the commentaries, he says, people say that, yeah, Krishna consciousness is so easy. Why don't you do it? Because real Krishna consciousness is not very easy. It's not, to really get to the point where we're totally surrendered. You know what I mean? Really, really surrendering to the holy name, and really surrendering to Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra Krishna. Through that process of having firm faith. I think, well, that's the next verse. Yatade para fear that unto those great souls who have implicit faith, both in God and the spiritual master, are all the imports of Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. That's the verse that's coming up. So this type of adherence, this type of, it's very hard to have implicit faith. Okay, here we go. Hey Siri, what does implicit mean?
Implied but not plainly expressed. Do you want to hear the next one?
Yes.
Essentially or very closely connected with, always to be found in. Want to hear the next one?
Yes.
With no qualification or question, absolute.
With no
Do
question.
you want to hear the last one?
Why not? Go ahead. Yes.
Of a function, not expressed directly in terms of variables.
Well, that's really a classic one. Anyway, I like number 3, with no qualification or questions. In other words, the absolute. That was pretty cool to go through that. That was, some of them were quite enlightening to the meaning of that word. So one who has implicit faith, it's not, it's, really, really fixed. And I remember when His Holiness Guru Maharaj was leaving this world within the last, I'd say last week, it's really eye-opening, the way different people leave this world. And his was a struggle to get out. This was a struggle, very, very much of a struggle. And, you become a little confused at that time. And not that he was confused, but, we're so used to having somebody knocks on the door or something moves. I have this, like last night, I heard somebody on the porch. It was like midnight. I woke up, I thought, what is that? And then the automatic light came on, and the automatic light starts flashing. And so I look out the window, I'm looking out the door, and I don't see anything, So for him, it was like, I had that ability last night to just check it out, but he was bedridden. He couldn't do anything. He had no control over what was happening in his environment. So it was a sense, I don't want to say fearful, maybe it was, but it was a sense of like unknowing what was going around. And so Borijan and I just asked him, what do you have faith in? Where's your faith? Where is your faith right now? He says, I have faith in the holy name and I have faith in Prabhupada. I said, okay, now you got to have faith in me and Borijan too, because we're here in this room. We're not, one of us is always going to be here. Govinda Maharaj was also there at that time, kind of taking turns. And he had, a couple of disciples, or Shiksha disciples and initiated disciples. And I said, we're here. I just read the other day that the when you pass away, it's a solo flight. I just read it the other day. It's like, you have the help of so many different things along your life, but we have this final departure is a solo flight. And so I think I've told you all this before. That I told Guru Maharaj that we're all going to be here with those little flashlights on the tarmac. We're going to be, we're going to get you on the right runway. That's what we're going to do. You're going to have to take off the plane. Don't worry about who's in the room, who's not in the room, what medication we're giving you, what medication we're not giving you. We're not going to do anything that's going to harm you. We're always going to keep you in good shape. And so it helped a lot. It helped a lot. And so to have that implicit faith, it takes a while. It takes a while to develop implicit. Wonderful, huh? Wonderful word for this purport. Well, it's actually a little further down now. So we have another volunteer. Maybe we could just finish up we have enough time and we'll probably finish up this verse. Maybe we could have a whole review of the chapter. Anything? Yeah, Nanette? You gotta push your mic button.
Okay. Let's see, where did we?
Or
Only,
for reading?
yeah, only unto those great souls who,
No, it's actually the
oh,
first,
okay, the stage.
this stage.
So maybe we can get someone to read that. This stage of highest perfection in yoga can be attained only by bhakti yoga, as is confirmed in all Vedic literature. So
Just
maybe
translation.
Asmita can
Let's
read
do
that.
the translation. Let's do the translation.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Only unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master are all the imports of Vedic knowledge automatically revealed.
Should we talk on that for a second?
Mhm.
This reminds me of that verse. If you want to put up 10:10 on the board there, Ananteshwar, if you have the ability to do that. I don't know if you have the ability. I can just read it. 10:10 is one of the main slokas of the Bhagavad Gita in 8, 9, 10, and 11. So it says here that to those who are constantly devoted to serving Krishna or serving me with love, I give the understanding by which they can come to me. The Prabhupada describes the different yogas, Buddha yoga, karma yoga, jnana yoga, kind of like this verse did. So the interesting thing is that, or the whole thing's interesting, but the last paragraph in 10:10, a person may have a bona fide spiritual master and may be attached to a spiritual organization. But if he is still not intelligent enough to make progress, then Krishna from within gives him instructions so that he may ultimately come to him without difficulty. The qualification, of course, there has to be a qualifier. The qualification is that a person always engage himself in Krishna consciousness and with love and devotion, render all kinds of service. He should perform some work for Krishna, and that work should be with love. If the devotee is not intelligent enough to make progress on the path of self-realization, but is sincere and devoted to the activity of devotional service, the Lord gives him a chance to make progress and ultimately attain him. Very generous, huh? Very, very, very generous statement there by Srila Prabhupada. How even if we have a bona fide spiritual master, we're attached to a spiritual organization. But if we just can't quite figure it out and we're not intelligent enough to make progress from the normal way of making progress, I guess the way that is being described here, and Krishna from within, Krishna comes within and gives us guidance. And that guidance is due to the qualification the person is always engaged, our sincerity of the heart. Just like today, I sent out the message and I said the whole issue is with the heart. It's a heart issue. The heart has to come in contact. I use that 7th verse from the Nectar of Instruction. And have something from this short paragraph and the translation. Very nice, I think. I found it very. Gayatri, you have your hand up, or is that just something? I see. I see the little hand there. I don't know. Okay. Anyone have any takeaways from this paragraph, which was just a translation?
Well, I have something. It's interesting that there's reference to only into those great souls. The great souls.
Well, in order to have implicit faith in the spiritual master and the Lord, you're automatically a great soul.
Okay.
Welcome, Nirmala. Hare Krishna. Yeah, implicit faith. Yeah. Only unto those great who have implicit faith. It's kind of like describing how they got to be great. Oh, Radhika Krishna Nanda and Durga are coming on now too. Nice to see you all. I guess we can have a reader for the last two paragraphs if we want someone to read. Around 647, the Mangala, for those who just Radhika Krishna came on, 647. Volunteer, volunteer, I can do it. Okay, Sydney.
Volunteer. Bhaktir Asya Bhajanam Tad Ihamuchopati Nasyan Isyamushamin Mana Kalpanam Atadeva Nashkarmyam. Bhakti means devotional service to the Lord, which is free from desire for material profit, either in this life or in the next. Devoid of such inclinations, one should fully absorb the mind in the Supreme. That is the purpose of Naskarmya. Gopala Tapani Upanishad 115. These are some of the means for performance of bhakti or Krishna consciousness, the highest perfectional stage of the yoga system. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports to the 6th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of dhyana yoga.
Congratulations, everyone. I made it to the 6th chapter. Well, then Teshwar is even clapping. That's good. Any takeaways from this? And then Teshwar, you have your hand up.
No, Maharaj.
The emoji hand. Free of desire for profit, either in this life or the next. Not searching from profit. You have your hand up now.
Yeah.
Everybody's the little emoji things coming up all over. Yeah, if mine was up, I wouldn't know what to do. I had no idea. Which is
So
free
Maharaj,
from-
I had a question.
Sure.
Parampara. Okay. Like I've personally met few devotees who were trying to perfect karma yoga, jnana yoga, dhyana yoga, and raja yoga, hatha yoga too, because they thought and they told up to the stage where like they have surpassed all this and they can practice bhakti yoga, and eventually all three of them they left bhakti. So
Say that again. I guess another one right over the top of my head.
I said that I know three devotees
Yes.
who came to a conclusion that they aren't feeling that they are enough advanced or they are enough progressing in bhakti yoga, and they wanted to perform the earlier ones, the karma,
Okay.
yeah, and they did try hard to practice it for 5 years or 10 years,
Bhakti yoga or other yogas?
the other yogas,
Yes.
and they got frustrated and they left even bhakti yoga after some time. So my point was that in bhakti yoga, like compared to the other yogas, you see the progress. So how do we see progress in bhakti yoga? How we know that we are advancing?
Oh, and in the 13th chapter. I'll get to it here. I think it's given in two places. 13th chapter, 8 through 12. And it says here, where is it at? Oh, I know it's in here. When I try to find these things really fast, it never goes in. So Humility, pride-ness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, steadiness, cleanliness, steadiness, gives a whole list of different qualities that one manifests or is meant to practice. Not only manifest, but through the process of Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada says they automatically come, but we're also meant to, practice humility, practice pridelessness. Just like Roger Bhumi was saying, basketball players get real proud when they have some ability, or the football players get real proud when they have some ability. So we work on, in other words, work on our ability to, profit adoration and distinction, pride. Actually, there's a statement that, I'll just double check, that Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes that the Vaishnavas should be careful of fame. Vaishnavas should be careful of fame. I wanted to make sure. So fame is also a type of pride. In other words, to be proud to be a famous Vaishnava, or take adoration. So these profit adoration and distinctions are the subtle aspects of sex desire. And so if one may give up the gross activities of sexual activities, but the subtle ones can linger. Profit, adoration, and distinction, to make some kind of profit from this on a material, even in a spiritual way. And so we have to be very careful. I'm quite surprised that somebody would think that I have to go and try to engage, just do karma yoga. Just do karma yoga, just do dhyana yoga or jnana yoga. Because when you get to the top, all the other ones are contained within them. So was there a question in them? How do we know that we're making progress? So we have those indicators. There's also a section in, I do believe it's the 10th chapter. It describes that intelligence, knowledge, freedom from doubt, delusion, truthfulness, control of the senses, control of the mind, happiness, and distress, birth. These things are created by Krishna, and so we have the ability. We have this information right here, just right here at our hands. I wish I could find that spot where Prabhupada says this, where he says that by developing these qualities, these are the qualities, I think it says that almost like a barometer. In other words, we can, or some kind of gauge by which we can see, are we becoming, are we searching for spiritual, are we controlling? Do we renounce the objects of sense gratification? What that means is yukta vairagya, in other words, not rejecting anything that can be used in Krishna's service, but only rejecting those things that I'm not able to use in Krishna's service. Somebody else may be able to use something in Krishna's service, but I may not be able to do it without having a spiritual indigestion, sometimes we call it. In other words, I've given this example before a million times. If you can eat 2 chapatis and digest them, only eat 2 chapatis. If you eat 4 chapatis and you can't digest them, you're going to get indigestion. I think this is an example given by Prabhupada, actually. And so in the same way, the amount of material energy we engage in Krishna's service will depend upon our spiritual ability to digest that. And so we saw once one devotee ill. I think it was he was ill and he wanted to just chant Hare Krishna, become a Babaji, and so probably whatever. So, didn't say what, okay, whatever. And he went and he was trying to do it. Then he found out he wasn't sick anymore, and then he just inherited a bunch of money, and the next thing you know, he was out the door. And so the idea to renounce things and to do like this, we have to see all these qualities and put them in practice in our life. The perception of the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease. Even-mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant events. How many of us can keep even-mindedness even in pleasant and unpleasant events? Very, very, very inspiring. And for me, it's an inspiration, because I mean, I just can't imagine having that type of a heart. Aspiring to live in a solitary place. Well, we're learning how to do that during COVID. Krishna, maybe we can say that Krishna sent COVID. No, we won't do that. Accepting the importance of self-realization and a philosophical search for the absolute truth. These are very nice. Krishna says these are he considers to be knowledge, and anything outside this he considers to be ignorance. So we want to be in knowledge. Knowledge awakens the heart. Knowledge awakens our ability to understand our original position in relationship to Krishna. Whereas avidya, I think we used that verse yesterday and today in our WhatsApp message. That avidya, it's like a jaundice. The person with jaundice, anything that's sweet goes in the mouth, tastes bitter. I've never had jaundice. Is that true, Ananteshwar? That if you have jaundice, everything tastes bitter?
Yes, Maharaj. Most of it.
Is sugar candy really the cure?
Yeah. Traditionally, they say
that's what it says in there.
Sugarcane juice.
Just imagine, sugar candy is sweet and you're putting it in your mouth and it's tasting yucky. So in the same way, we know the devotional practices by scripture are very, the relationships with Krishna, as we were describing earlier in this purport, are so amazing. And yet we sometimes grab for the jar of vidya. We want that ignorance. It's amazing how, it's like one of the jars on the shelf. Yeah, I'll take a little ignorance today. I'll just do something that I know is, not going to profit me. I don't use the word profit. And help me advance in spiritual life. I've given this example to this group before. We all have our little bag of Maya sitting next to us, and some days we just kind of look at the bag. Sometimes we open it up, see what's in there. Sometimes we grab something. I've given that example dozens of times. And the fact is that I was reading the other day, somebody had a dream. They told Prabhupada, I had a dream of Krishna. And he said, what was there? And he said, oh, Krishna. And he said, you didn't see Maya? No. He said, then you didn't see Krishna, because behind Krishna is Maya. Mahamaya is the shadow of Krishna. Mahamaya is the material energy. Is that Mahamaya, or that Durga, or like that. And so I probably just kind of brushed them aside like that. But the idea is that we always have Prabhupada gives the example, if you have the choice to face the sun or turn away from the sun. So we have the ability to turn towards Krishna, or you have the ability to turn away from Krishna. It becomes like a choice. Arjuna asked, by what is one impelled to sinful activity, as if being engaged by force? But Krishna tells him that force is kama, which Prabhupada translates as lust, but later on he says desire. In the commentaries, it's like desire. In other words, a desire outside of our real original position in relationship to Krishna. And this is what causes the bewilderment. This is what causes our bewilderment. In other words, we're bewildered in this world, but yet we take that which bewilders us more. It's like the same thing, like someone who is abusing alcohol or drugs or whatever. If someone has a disease where they're addicted to these things, it's not that they don't know that by engaging in them more, it's going to cause more problems. They may be in denial. We may be in denial. Some of us are in denial. Maybe just a little bit of denial, maybe a lot of denial, depending on I guess that would depend on our advancement. We have a saying in Hare Krishna, we get out of denial and get into the Ganga. I didn't know if everybody got that.
I got it.
Get into the Ganga. That'd be like a Chicago way of saying Dagunga. And so we have that opportunity all the time. Nanette, you got to push your mic, Nanette.
There.
Well, you pushed it on and off. Just do it once. Do it once. Give it a second to connect. There you go.
Okay. So I have a question about, you mentioned, you know, if we kind of have a big head, or if we're loaded with some ego, or we have some things, and we're a devotee and we still have those things. But you mentioned something about or we're looking for reward or whatever, and we're still working on ourselves. And you mentioned whether we do it in this world or the next world, and I mean in the spiritual world. And in my mind, I'm thinking, and I don't know, that if I do get to the spiritual world, all of those things would be alleviated. Is that not true?
What my understanding of that, I'm just trying to find that material profit in either in this life or in the next. Material profit in the next is indirectly for referring to the heavenly planets in one sense.
Right.
I was getting to the heavenly planets.
Right.
Another is being described, which is a real fine detail, not a real fine, is that ultimately we don't even care if we have the profit
Right.
or the reward of getting to the spiritual world.
Right.
We just want Krishna to be happy. And if Krishna decides it's this world or that world, or it's like this or it's like that, we're just happy. That's all we want. Just like when Krishna had a headache. You know the story. Krishna had a headache, and Muni came, and Krishna said he had a headache and he needs some dust from the feet of a pure devotee to put on his head to get rid of the headache. You know the story, right, Nanette? You know, right?
Well, I'm not sure if I know that one.
Krishna had a headache, so he needed the dust from the feet of a pure devotee. So Narada Muni wouldn't. So he went around looking. He looked, went to Brahma, went to this person. Everybody said, "Oh my God, I can't put my feet on Krishna's head. I can't let him take the dust from my feet. I'll go to hell. It'll be torturous." They went to the gopis, and the gopis heard that Krishna had a headache, and they started just scraping the dust. They started scraping their feet. Muni said, "Aren't you afraid to go to hell?" "We don't care if we go to hell. Krishna has a headache. If he needs the dust from my feet, we'll go to hell." So the devotee is prepared to go to hell, because for a devotee, pure devotee, wherever they are, heaven or hell, they're with Krishna. Wherever they're at. So this could mean, I could have a subtle meaning for, free of all material, just whatever Krishna. In that sense, that's being a pure devotee when you really get down to it. But it's the finer details of pure devotee, because some devotees that are quite advanced didn't want to give Krishna dust from their feet. Of course, it was meant to be, and there are so many purposes that are served by every pastime of Krishna, and that was to what would you say? What's the word? Show. That's the word extol. Show how the gopis were so advanced. They're so advanced that people wouldn't share that with the gopis. They're like top level, or we say here in Dallas, next level.
Thank you.
Okay, we should all give a round of applause. We finished the 6th chapter. And I don't remember how long that. I don't remember when we started the 6th chapter. You remember, Nanteshwar?
Maharaj, it was somewhere in July.
Oh, July. Okay. So the next chapter is only 28 29 verses, right? Or 30. 8 is 28, I know that. It's either 29 or 30. It's probably 31 just because yeah, it's 30. 30 verses. So 17 less than this. The next chapter, Krishna's going to start telling us different aspects of himself, different qualities. So thank you all very much. Thanks to our host for hosting us. Thanks for participants for participating.
Thank you very much.
So we'll see you next Tuesday, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Krishna willing, as we say, Krishna willing.
Thank you,
Hare Krishna.
Maharaj.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Hare Krishna.